I never imagined that one day my soul would be ripped out of my body, dragged into a place darker than nightmares, and shown things too terrifying for human words. But it happened. I saw hell. And in that horrifying place of endless fire and cries, something shocked me more than the flames, more than the demons, more than the hopelessness. When I looked closely, I realized that the majority of those torment souls burning, screaming, gnashing their teeth were married women. Yes, married women. And the reason why they were there was something so twisted, so common, so frightening that even now when I speak of it, I tremble. This is one of the most shocking revelations I have ever received. And today I must share it with you. My name is Sophia Daniel. I was born in 1989 in a small town where everyone claimed to know God. But in truth, very few truly lived for Him. My parents were strict churchgoers and I grew up memorizing Bible verses, attending Sunday school and singing in the choir. On the surface, I looked like a good Christian girl. But deep inside I was far from God. You see, I carried two faces, one for the church, another for the world. I knew how to lift my hands during worship, how to dress decently on Sundays, and how to smile at elders. But when the church lights were off and I was back in my own world, I was someone else entirely. I gossiped. I envied. I harbored bitterness. And though I never admitted it, I secretly enjoyed conversations about women cheating on their husbands, about scandals, about broken marriages. I thought it was normal. By the time I entered my 20s, I was already hardened in my heart. My friends were young, married women who seemed devoted to God, but behind closed doors, they would complain endlessly about their husbands. Some openly flirted with other men. Others laughed about sending sweet messages to young boys they met in church. I thought it was funny at the time. I didn't see anything wrong with it. And when it came to me personally, I carried bitterness like a crown. I used to say, why should women always endure? If I ever marry and my husband hurts me, I'll do worse to him. I'll make him feel it. That was my mindset. Vengeful, unforgiving, and proud. Spiritually, I was lukewarm. I went to church because it was expected, not because I loved God. My prayers were short, shallow, and mostly about asking for blessings. The Bible, I rarely read it beyond what the pastor quoted. And hell, oh hell, was just a word to me. I honestly believed it was either a myth or at least an exaggerated scare tactic used by preachers to control people. I would hear sermons about eternal fire and damnation, but I would shrug them off, telling myself, God is too merciful for that. He wouldn't really let people suffer forever. Even when I sat under preachers who warned that the devil was deceiving women in massive numbers, I rolled my eyes. I thought, this is just another message to keep women submissive. It's not real. Looking back now, I realized that was the devil whispering lies into my soul. There were also wounds in my heart that I never dealt with. I had been betrayed by people I trusted, disappointed by men I respected, and humiliated by those I loved. Instead of letting God heal me, I let those wounds turn into anger and stubbornness. Pride was my shield. I told myself I was strong, but deep down I was broken. So when people spoke about hell, I dismissed it. When they spoke about Judgment Day, I laughed it off. I told myself, if God is real, I'll explain myself. After all, I haven't killed anyone. I'm not the worst sinner, but I was wrong. So very wrong. If anyone had told me that one day I would lie in a hospital bed unconscious with my soul pulled out of my body into a place darker than nightmares. If anyone had told me that I would hear with my own ears the endless cries of millions of lost souls, I would have laughed in their face. But that is exactly what happened. And what I saw in that place, it changed everything. It was the evening of June 14, 2017. I remember because that day started so ordinary. I had just returned from visiting a friend and I was on a bus heading back home. We were laughing, talking, and scrolling through our phones as the driver sped down the busy road. Nothing about that day hinted at what was waiting for me. Then in one moment, everything changed. The loud screech of brakes, the desperate scream of a woman, and then a violent crash. Metal against metal, glass shattering like thunder, bodies being flung forward, chaos everywhere. My head slammed against the seat in front of me and then silence. I thought I was dead, but strangely I could still hear. I could hear people crying, shouting, praying. I saw men rushing to pull bodies out of the wreckage. I saw myself, yes, myself lying motionless, blood dripping from my forehead. Confusion swallowed me whole. How can I be outside my body? What's happening to me? I asked, but no one responded. My voice echoed in emptiness. Then slowly I felt it, something pulling me downward. At first it was like a magnetic force. I struggled, tried to resist, tried to run back to my body, but it was useless. The pull grew stronger, heavier, darker, and then I heard it. The sound of distant cries, thousands, millions, screams of agony unlike anything I had ever heard before. Some were wailing, some were cursing, some were begging for water. Their cries were soaked in hopelessness. The deeper I was dragged, the stronger the stench became. Sulfur mixed with burning flesh. Smoke that choked me. Though I had no lungs, fire that licked my very soul, though I had no skin. Darkness surrounded me. But it wasn't the kind of darkness you experience at night. This was a living, breathing darkness, thick, suffocating, evil. Yet within it I saw faint glows like rivers of fire winding through valleys. The closer I got, the louder the screams became, and then I saw them. Multitudes of people, souls burning, writhing in torment, yet never consumed. Chains bound some of them while others were pinned under demonic creatures with faces too twisted for words. Their screams pierced me to my core. I wanted to shut my eyes, but I couldn't. I wanted to cover my ears, but I couldn't. Every cry, every shriek, every gnashing of teeth was carved into my soul. And then I noticed something that froze me completely. As I looked closely, I saw women. So many women. Their faces, their figures, their voices, all unmistakable. And most of them were married. I saw women crying. I only cheated once. Others screaming, I hated my husband, but no one knew. Some wept. I lived holy in church, but dirty in secret. It was endless. Thousands upon thousands of married women, tormented, their sins exposed. Their secrets screaming louder than their voices. My heart sank, my mind screamed. No, this cannot be real. Married women, church women, mothers. But the evidence burned before my eyes. Fear gripped me like never before. I began to tremble, to weep, to beg. God, please, please let this stop. Please don't let me stay here. But the pull dragged me deeper still. And that was only the beginning. As I was dragged deeper into that abyss, my soul shaking with terror, I felt something inside me break. The cries of those women, the endless flames, the hopelessness, it was unbearable. I screamed with all the strength I had left. God, please have mercy. Don't let me stay here. And then everything paused. The screams did not stop. But suddenly, it was as if time froze around me. The claws that dragged me lost their grip. The thick darkness trembled, and then, piercing through the pitch black, a blinding light appeared. It was not like earthly light. This light carried warmth, purity, and authority. Every demon shrank back. The fire hissed. Even the souls burning seemed to quiet for a moment, as though creation itself recognized who had come. A voice thundered, not with anger but with sorrow. A sorrow so deep it shook me more than the fire ever could. Sophia, the voice said, calling my name with such clarity, you were not ready. I wept. Lord, please don't leave me here. Please. Then the voice said, look carefully and understand why you were shown this. Suddenly, the light illuminated the countless married women I had seen earlier. Their tears, their regrets, their torments became clearer. And then the voice spoke again. 80% of the women here were wives. Many had outward holiness but inward corruption. They mocked their husbands in secret. They abandoned their covenant. They polluted their homes with adultery, bitterness, gossip, and pride. They wore righteousness as clothing in public, but their hearts were far from me. Marriage does not cover sin. A wedding ring does not excuse rebellion. Every secret was laid bare before my throne. I could not breathe. My own past, my pride, my bitterness, my careless words against marriage, my enjoyment of gossip. It all flashed before me like lightning. My knees buckled though I had no body. The voice grew firmer. Go back, Sophia. Your time has not yet come. Go back and warn them. Tell my daughters to repent. Tell my sons to be faithful. Tell them that hell is real and time is short. Then softer, almost like a whisper of mercy. I am giving you another chance, but you must speak. Do not be silent. The light moved closer. For the first time I felt hope. The claws released me fully. The fire seemed to retreat. The screams faded, and I felt myself being lifted upward from the pit, away from the torment, carried by that glorious light. And then suddenly I gasped. Air filled my lungs again. My eyes shot open. I was back in the hospital bed. Doctors rushed to me. My family wept by my side. They said I had been unconscious for weeks. But I knew the truth. I had been to hell. And God in His mercy had sent me back with a message. When I opened my eyes in that hospital bed, weak and trembling, I knew I was not the same person. The doctors told my family I had been in a coma for almost 1 month. Many had given up hope, but God in His mercy pulled me out of death's grip. From that moment, everything changed. The bitterness I once carried vanished. The gossip I once enjoyed disgusted me. The pride I once wore like a crown was shattered. I could no longer see sin the way I used to. It wasn't small. It wasn't normal. It was poison that leads to eternal fire. My relationships changed too. I began to respect my parents deeply, something I had neglected before. I began to value marriage not as a joke or a burden, but as a holy covenant before God. I stopped entertaining friends who mocked faithfulness and encouraged secret sin. Prayer became my lifeline. The Bible, once a dusty book to me, became the voice of God in my ears. Every word burned with truth. Every verse was alive. Most importantly, I could not keep silent. I started sharing my testimony everywhere. At church, on the streets, to strangers, to anyone who would listen. Some mocked me, some doubted me, some even laughed in my face. But others wept, repented, and turned their lives around. I realized that my life was no longer mine. I was spared for a purpose to sound the alarm. Every day since then, I live with eternity in my heart. And I will never forget the cries I heard, the faces I saw, the warning I received. Hell is real and God is merciful. I will never forget the words I heard in that pit. Marriage does not cover rebellion. Please repent while there is time. Do not play with eternity. Hell is closer than you think. But so is God's mercy if you call on Him. Now I have shared my testimony not to frighten you but to awaken you. Time is short and eternity is real. Please take a moment and reflect. If your life were to end today, where would your soul be? I want to hear from you. Share your thoughts in the comments. What part of this testimony touched you the most? And also let us know where you're watching from. Thank you for staying with me to the end. May God bless you, keep you, and prepare you for eternity. Until next time, remain watchful, remain faithful.